All right, welcome to. I think I'm calling it the All Everything podcast. Talk about everything. I know it's mostly been high school football, but hoping to branch out in future episodes. Oh, today very special guest, the brother, or not the brother, me and my brother's mom, Miss Cynthia Pearson. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, this is my mom. With first year PA as a mom. When was that?
Trey was in the eighth grade. He graduated 2017, so around 2012, 2013.
So almost 20 years of being
Yes,
around
been around.
PA,
Yes.
and she's as much as knowledgeable on this type of stuff as anybody I know. Without further ado, I'll get into my very first question. Is you had a son play for Coach Kelly, and you had a son play for Coach Lucas. What was the difference and similarities that you saw with those two head coaches and those teams?
I would say the biggest difference that I saw was Coach Lucas was more forgiving to these young men than Coach Kelly was. He was more of, I said A, so let's do A. It was no give there. It was his way or get off the field. And Coach Lucas was a little bit more forgiving, talking to the boys, getting them. Sometimes I told him sometimes you need to be a little bit harder on them. They need you to be a little bit tougher. And so that the similarities I saw was always holding them accountable, always expecting them to be men and gentlemen and grades first, respect your mother, respect your parents, do be smart. Don't be out there. If you go do something off the field, you're going to get consequences at school. You're going to get consequences from the coaches, and that is one of the major things that I loved about PA is because they held them accountable on and off the field.
Yeah, I love Coach Lucas. One of the best role models in my life. Awesome coach. Also, Coach Kelly was a great role model. And that'll move me to my next question. How was it being a parent with both?
Coach Kelly was definitely not the most approachable. Um, but I was lucky also in the fact because his wife was from my hometown. My aunt had taught her. So I could kind of get that. But I've always kind of been a parent that I don't really say anything to the coach unless my kids, I see something going on. I'm more of talk to my kids about it, then okay, we need to take it the next step. But as far as like with Coach Lucas, I knew his family, and it's such a small world where his father-in-law was my uncle's best friend in Dallas. And
Mhm.
so we had a family connection there. And it's just odd how those family connections with both coaches and small town, and you end up meeting people from Dallas and from Spring Hill where Coach Kelly was from, and Saratoga, and I'm from Mineral Springs, Tolette, and those connections made it closer, and I trusted them, Coach Kelly and his wife Dana, and Coach Lucas and DeVay. Whenever they went anywhere, I had ultimate trust that my sons were going to be cared for and taken care of. I had no doubt.
All right. Yeah, absolutely agree. I love both the Kellys and both the Lucases. And that'll move me to my next topic. Uh, let's get a list of eight or nine of your favorite games that you remember watching from Trey's era and my era, or somewhere in between. Give me some of your favorite games that you can recall and love to
I
watch.
do remember like when Trey had first moved up from eighth grade, ninth grade, and he really wasn't probably gonna play. He wasn't gonna play that game because he just moved up. But we were in the playoffs, and I believe it was against Magnolia, and it was torrential rain, and Trey, Peyton, and Chris were out there when we're sitting there at the game. Poor, we weren't prepared at all. And thankfully for our niece Bland, Cameron Bland's mom, and Kalia, that they got us blankets, they got us some raincoats, covered us up. we didn't got us something to drink or eat. Well, we ended up by the I said this is enough. We're soaking wet, so we went out to the car and the rest of the game. And that one was definitely just. It gave me that glimpse into how people treat you at PA. Is they don't have to know you, but they would treat you like family and take you in and see if you need something. They're there. Another game, I would say, it was either Will Hart or Will Osmond that batted a ball down and ran it back for a pick six. That was like an amazing game. I don't remember which Will it was because it was two Wills. A lot of people they have two names. Another one, probably I loved watching Zach Kelly when I hated when he got hurt, but just watching him like just his view of the field and just it was like he could sometimes out there and tell other players what to do and on the offense. And unfortunately, I'm a defensive person. I love the defensive side of the ball. So most of my memory watching Josiah, Fuda, watching them. I remember when we were at McClellan and the center, what's his name? He got his tooth. They actually pulled his tooth out, and he was our center that year. I can't really remember his name, and it was so odd to me because we lived in Southwest at the time, and a lot of those boys that were on McClellan's team, I knew those young men and stuff, and seeing it, and I remember that game because it was on Peyton's birthday, and Coach Kelly still had him come out in the field, and they sang happy birthday to him, and he had Fonseca sing as lead, and he got to choose, and and that's when Peyton first started saying, I'm going to PA, I'm going to PA, and I was like, okay. And it was just those things of taking it in, and those scenes in that game was very memorable. During with Peyton, it was more watching. I remember the PB and J play with him, JT, with Coach Thrash made up that play, and they called it PB and J, and that was just that watching them during that time and those kids just having fun with it. And I would say one of the memories we were playing Cabot, I believe, and our defense was horrible.
Yeah,
they were not playing good at all, and we let them know. Me and my other two friends, we don't have a problem with telling them when they are not playing well. But KJ Colon stepped up, kickoff return, interception, just really was like he took that game and he said, okay, I'm going to do this. What do I need to do? And he did his job. And it rallied everybody around, and people had to step up and do what they needed to do because it was one of those games where, okay, who's going to step up? Who's going to be the difference maker? And probably one of my the favorite game that Payne ever played was against Lake Hamilton. And when he created that caused that fumble, and we ended up winning the game, and it was just like I could see the joy. And like one of my most favorite pictures that Sheldon ever did was from that game. But it also, he got hurt a lot, and I think we were playing
Mountain Home.
It wasn't Mountain Home. It was in where they snatched your helmet off. I think it was because I was late to the game. I remember. I can't remember that team, but Greenbrier. Yeah. Yes, Greenbrier, and they were literally tackling him by his helmet and pulling his helmet off, and the referees were not saying anything, and it was so frustrating. And to see him out there, I would think all of our rivalry games against Little Rock Christian, even though it's not really a rivalry because we pretty much dominated them most of the time while I've been watching, but just to see them when they do beat us or the game is close and how they react to that is very interesting and always fun to do. And against Joe T. Robinson, just the different times that we've played against them, and it's been good competition. And where those kids, they know each other, but when they were on the field, they played the game, and when they were off, they were still friends. And I wish more of the parents would have realized that also.
Yeah, quick recap. PB&J is a formation with me, JT, and Brandon. And me and JT, we I don't know, we'd like decide who got the ball
They got to
just
be
in
on
the backfield.
offense.
Yeah, we got to run the ball, and it was like a serious thing. We got some valuable touches and some good games. Second up is the PA Kappa game. I remember that one. KJ had a kick return, a pick six, and a strip fumble and recovered a fumble. Played out of his mind. In the PA Lake Hamilton game, my sophomore year, I remember Kale got taken out pretty early. We were kind of on the like everyone was still sick from the Greenwood game, a lot of injuries, and we're basically that game was for the I think number 2 seed to get a bye, which our team needed. And I remember that play very vividly. That's one of my favorite plays ever at PA. Going on next, you might have said it already, but if you had to go rewatch one game from start to finish, what would that one game be? If you had to sit down, rewatch it. You already know the result, but you know it's gonna be
PA
good every
versus
time.
Fayetteville, when we were in Fayetteville, I would watch that game because just to see the grit and determination that our boys had, and they did not give up. Even though they had calls against them that were not fair, different things, they did not give up. That year, the defense really had to step up because people don't think about it. When you say PA, nobody says, "Oh, what a defensive team they are." Nobody ever thinks about it, but I do believe that one year, just watching those young men come into their own and realize, okay, we can do this. And our defense won that game. Our offense did what they needed to do. But if it wasn't for our defensive plays and turnovers and the consistency that they had in playing and not letting those players and referees get into their head and upset them. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about PA is we don't react. You keep playing the game. You let the coaches handle if something happens. You don't react and you act like you've been there before. Like this is nothing. You do it because this is what you're supposed to do day in, day out.
Yeah, that Fayetteville game, oh, it just gives me a heart attack thinking about it. We committed, we ended up forcing, I think, 4 or 5 turnovers in a row. We didn't score off any of them, and that game shouldn't have been close. But we look up in the fourth quarter, they get that terrible 2 point, which is one of the worst calls in high school football history. He just throws it in, but next thing you know, we got all the momentum,
In
but the game's
overtime.
going to overtime, and we scored first, and we got 3 straight stops in that fourth down. I remember it being so loud on our side. I thought it was a home game, and we stopped them. It was a great moment. One of those things I probably tell my kids about. It was an awesome game. Next up, uh, this might be a little hard to do off the top of the head, but can you give me your top 10 players in
Top
order?
10 players in
In
order.
order.
Oh, my top two are going to be Peyton Adams and Trey
I
Adams.
figured. I
My
figured.
sons, of course. And I wish Chris had gone there too. He would be in there too. I would have three. But after that, it would be KJ Colon,
Okay.
Josiah. Um, it's kind of hard. I'm trying not to pick all defense. It's kind of hard, but my favorite quarterback that I like to watch, which I don't really talk, is like Will Heffley. I
Well,
do.
hopefully.
I like watching Heffley at quarterback and to see he had a command of the field and watch that, and the players respected him. Caden Halls, that's the
Yep.
center. That's who. Uh, Watching him at center and direct that, and I have to say, probably another that I love watching with the passion out there is the linebacker that graduated with you,
Caden.
Caden,
Cade Nash.
Kate Nash. And I would tell you, I always talk to these young men like they my kids. But in senior year, seeing Ronan Rutherford, he had moved different positions all on the field, but to finally see him, he found his spot, and the way he came out there and turned his whole lookout around, and he became a totally different player. And to see that growth from him and see how he grew from not being sure to just being out there and being able to dominate and command his presence. Course, Isaiah and Trey, I have to.
All right, you got one more spot left.
And let's see, my last spot
Do you want to
probably.
hear the order that I have so far?
Sure.
All right, number one, I got me. Two, Trey. Three, KJ. Four, Josiah. Five, Will Heffley. Six, Caden Hall. Seven, Caden Nash. I'm assuming you want Isaiah at eight, Trey at nine, and I guess running at the 10.
Uh, oh, that's so hard, but it has to be Jaron Watkins because when I would watch that boy run out there on that field, it was not. I've not seen anybody do the moves that he can do and what he did, and he was just fun to watch, just to watch him out there run that ball, and so. I have a lot more in my
You
head,
can
but of
find
course,
two to replace
you
your
know,
sons. You can find two.
if I had to, if
You got two.
of course, my two sons, but I would say more than likely I would look at Errol.
Errol.
I love watching Errol play because he played with a passion. He played hurt. He also commanded that O line. He told them, okay, let's get this together. And watching him and not accepting anything less. Probably my last one would probably be um, I cannot. I'm trying to think of his name. When he played, I cannot
Play with
think
me or
of.
Trey.
He played during Trey's time, and it's those kids that I'm 51, so my memory. But if I remember it, I'll shout it still Peyton later on because it'll probably pop back up in my head. But I have lots of favorites, and I love seeing these boys play. I love Brandon Cobb. I don't know why I said Braden, but Brandon Cobb. Watching all of them play has been fun. That's what I can say above anything else. I've always had fun, and getting to know the parents has been awesome.
Yeah. Just to recap the list, I'm gonna not say me and Trey's name, but we'll go KJ, Josiah, Will Heffley, Caden Hollis, Caden Nash, Isaiah, Trey, Jaron Watkins, Errol, Brandon Cobb.
Yes.
Yeah. I got something to say about everybody. KJ, uh, you know, we'll debate each other on who was the best player on the team. I say I was, and he'll say he was. But what a teammate. He was a captain alongside with me. He's exactly what you want your best player to be. Never caused any problems. Worked the hardest. Really talented. Josiah was one of the best guys to ever cross the field at PA. Super athletic, crazy strong. Every time he hit somebody, you turn, you're like, whoa.
Yes.
Caden Halls or Will Helfley, I don't remember him much, but through highlights and knowing stuff, he was great. Along with Caden Halls, he's someone I do sort of remember watching. Next up, Caden Nash, another guy I got to play with. Awesome attitude, the attitude you want at the linebacker. Really quiet, but when he was on that field, it was anything but quiet. Another captain alongside of me. Next up, Isaiah Woods, a guy who we still debate on who's better. Everyone says that I am, and he's the only person that says that he is better. But a great player, and we talked about him on the past episodes. The stats don't show up, but if you watch the film, you'll see how great he is. At number 9, Trey, a guy I remember growing up watching. Lousy hands. I'm joking.
Yeah.
But great speed, and as I mentioned earlier, in earlier episodes, just looked like he was playing another sport when he was out there. He was in a whole nother level. And along with the next guy, Jaron Watkins, I was telling a story last episode about how he gave me his gloves after they beat McClellan, and they're still my dresser downstairs. I will now never lose those. They stink. I didn't wash them. Have never washed them. They're great. One of my most prized possessions, Jaron Watkins State Championship gloves. Next up is Errol, a guy he was like one of the guys I knew before I went to PA, because before I went to PA, Coach Kelly would let me come on the sideline and be a water boy, and that's how I met Errol, and we've been friends ever since. Ever since, I don't know, fourth grade, and a leader on the O line since his junior year. He was awesome. You know, I would argue he yelled more at the O line than any of the coaches.
We got him right.
Yeah, he did. And lastly, Brandon Cobb, guy I've known for a while. Went through a lot of things his junior year. Had the terrible thumb injury. I remember in 8th grade where he broke his pinky was out of socket. Oh, horrible sight.
Yes, and him trying to get bigger and grow and get muscle and taking protein, and he wasn't expecting that Kel wouldn't play, and then he had to step into that, and he did it. That's a big role to fill as quarterback when you're at PA. A lot of pressure is on you because we are known as this offensive school, and passing is a part of the game, and it's a lot on you when you are the quarterback.
Yeah, a lot of people don't remember he had to start that following playoff game when we played Mountain Home. That's a pretty big thing, It's first 6A playoff game in school history, and ended up playing great. I mean, we beat them like, I don't know, 63-20 something. And stepped in, great guy. And let's see. My last question will be: is there any stories that you have, just as a parent from the stands, or maybe you saw something at practice? Is there any stories you have for us?
Wow. We have a lot of stories, a lot of fun up in the stands as parents.
Oh, I'm going to say this. If you have ever, especially during my era, if you ever have seen her especially if you're a player, you know what I'm talking about. You turn around, she's right there. But she's not the calm person that she's pretending to be. Her, Caleb Kelly's mom, and KJ's mom, the three-headed dragons, they will let you know if you're playing bad. They will let you know.
Yes. We'll never forget when Beth yelled out, y'all suck, y'all are sorry or something. And one of the players turned around and said, I'm not sorry, or something. I don't remember but it was just seeing those boys, and what they're capable of, and you see it, and we would be fussing, and if they would come off that field, and we would be like, y'all don't deserve to sit down. You hadn't done anything. Keep standing up. You need to get in, let the defense sit down. One thing, because all three of us were defensive moms, so we were very vocal in that part, and I've never been a quiet fan of my kids when they were at sports. I used to go before I really started hanging. I always sat by myself because I know what I'm going to say. I would go pick me a spot and sit off by myself, but I started sitting with those ladies, and a lot of the moms from Peyton's grade. We became very close together and had things outside of PA together, and our kids and our sons were all really close and hung out together. Probably my biggest memories when we were up at Greenwood, and this is about KK, if you know Cassandra. We were all sitting up there. Your other brother, Christopher, came to the game with me, and Jaden, Caleb's older brother, was there, and KK reached back and she told Jaden, hold my stuff. And we were all like, why? She was going on the field to go talk to the referees and follow them off the field. And she's like, I want you to have my stuff so you can bail me out. And she did it. She went across the field and she yelled at him. And one of her favorite phrases, I fight kids. And you don't know the number of players that have talked back to us from the opposing team. Our sons didn't even know what was going on. And it would be like number 3. It would be like, we see you, number 3. We see you. We know. We got you. And I would talk to them later in the week, and Beth would be like, "Oh, this is his mama. This is his," and she would know like the whole family history on them because if our sons are going, we know who these dirty players are who are trying to do other little extra stuff. And I remember we played against Joe T. Robinson, and I think this is when Patton Wicker had to be our quarterback, had to step in at quarterback. And one of the players had done something. I'm not sure who it was, but they had done something. And Peyton got up and he said something to the young man. And Coach Lucas does not like that. None of them like that. They didn't, so they was supposed to. And I had to yell down to Coach Lucas, that's what he's supposed to do. That boy was picking on his teammate. He should stand up for his teammate. That's his brother out there on the field. You don't let somebody come mess with your brother and you standing right there and just look at him. You speak up and you take up for your brother. And Coach Lucas, he after the game, he's like, Miss Cynthia. And I was like, I get what you're saying, Coach Lucas, but I'm still gonna be. I don't want him to fight or nothing, but he got to speak up for his teammate. You don't have to do the extra stuff. Because the other boy, he wasn't fighting back or nothing. That boy was being dirty. And so I appreciate that about them to know, and they learn that constraint, and they learn respect, and they knew that was football. Because he knew those kids that played with Joe T. Robinson. Those kids knew them. And so it's just a thing of they know each other, and they need to remember in all sports, no matter what, it's a game. And that's one of the biggest things. If my kids, if it's no longer fun for them, why are we even here? And so as long as they kept having fun and they kept loving the game, I fully supported them. And I love the environment at PA. They embrace everybody, no matter what. A lot of people know our house caught on fire, and the first people who responded to us was our PA family and raised money, helped us through a tough time, stepped up, all kind, past, current, people that didn't even know us. They knew Juice, because that's what everybody calls him, Juice. And if you don't know, Peyton played baseball too, and he was crown Juice. But yes, and so everybody, the juice is loose became the phrase, and so that was one of the things. And I love that about them, the full support of our entire PA community. And if you're not sure about PA, come talk to me. I'll let you know that it is the place that you want your kids to be, not just for sports, because they didn't go there for sports. Had no idea about the football team. We went there for the education. That's the main reason. Mm-hmm. Best education you could ever pay for.
I think that's a really good closing statement. I couldn't have said it any better. Appreciate you for coming on.
You're more than welcome.
I think we got plus 12 subscribers on the last episode. Hopefully this does just as well. We went up 200 views from the video before on last video, so hopefully we keep that trend going. And again, this is the All Everything podcast. Thank you for watching.